All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harachah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim bringing up this word in diligence and in truth. And now, Lord will, the title of this lesson may be That Hammer Ain't Swinging Like It Used to, right? And I'll start off with that precept in the book of Jeremiah. Right? Because we understand Babylon, America, is likened unto this hammer, man, right? It's symbolizing this place, man. And it's what? And its military prowess or capabilities. This is Jeremiah 50 and 22, and it reads, A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction, right? And that great destruction ultimately comes through thermonuclear destruction. It says, How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? And that's Babylon, man, right? And that's why you see here it says Babylon, the mightiest hammer in all the earth, right? And here it is, people, in the U.S. I tell you, America is the greatest military, or has the greatest military, worldwide, and even other countries, will admit to that as well. When you take a look at the amount of money that the American government pours into their military, it's like it. If you take the collected 10 or the cumulative 10 countries, right? America being number one. If you add up 2 through 10, America spends more on their military than the 2 through 10 combined, man, right? But we're seeing what? We're seeing Iran, Yahweh Shah use Iran to defend itself against this hammer, man. See, because when you take a look at the history, you take a look at what happened to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right, with Fat Man and Little Boy. That put fear in the rest of these nations, man, because it showed that had the power to literally destroy, a whole landmass of people, man, right? So once they seen that fire, be used on them, not only did it put fear in nations, but it also, put them in the spirit to start to build up their military strength, right? To start putting forth, money and initiatives into, nuclear programs, so that if it got down to the point where Babylon was going to, send forth more, nukes or ICBMs to a country, that it would be a mutually assured destruction, right? So I'm gonna get into this article here because ultimately that same power that Babylon had to, put everybody in fear is dwindling, right? And is being shown throughout a smaller country, Iran, right? So it says Iran, this is from End Time Headlines, by the way. It says Iran declares it has won the war as U.S. turns to economic warfare, right? Victory or pressure. It says Trump declared Friday that Iran remains unwilling to accept terms that would end the nearly 6-month conflict. And this is how the American media, basically twists the narrative, man, right? Basically saying that, it's Iran is unwilling to accept the terms. Meanwhile, how many agreements has the U.S. made with Iran and then broke them, right? So why would Iran trust the devil, right? The scriptures tells us to never trust thine enemy. For like his iron rusts, so does his wickedness. But everyone is seeing Esau, Edom, as what? The enemy, man. Right? So why, after all the hell that you brought to their country, after all the deaths that you brought to their country, after all the sanctions you put on their country, and not just them, all across the world, why should anybody be willing to work with you when it always ends in bloodshed from their citizens? That's just a fact, man. Right? So it says Iran was remained unwilling to accept the terms. Basically, the terms is that they want Iran to bow down. And Iran is like, nah, fuck that. We're not bowing down. We're gonna fight this out. And that's why Iran just recently put out a statement, their military officials stating, hey, we're no longer on the defensive, man. Hey, we're on an offensive basis from here on out. Right? And America sees that they can't penetrate nor stop the production of Iranian drones. So, I wouldn't be surprised if, they do send, a pocket nuke over to Iran, man, to basically say, hey, we still got it, man, right? But all that is going to do is further that divide between the whore and the beast, man, NATO and the EU. We already seen Turkey, right? Gomer, what Gomer is at the point now where they're like, hey, we gotta go, man. Right here it is. We put money back into this NATO, right? And when we needed protection, what happened? Hey, they just cast us off, right? When we need the missile defense systems, what they had all of us send missile defense systems back into Israel, right? So they see that the war really ain't helping them, man. It was all a divide and conquer technique used by Esau Edom, to get a higher position within the rankings, the world rankings. It says Iran remains unwilling to accept terms that would end the nearly 6-month conflict, even as the U.S. intensifies a campaign of economic pressure aimed at isolating the Islamic Republic. It says, according to a report from CBS, Trump told reporters that Tehran would love to make a deal. And this is how the devil talks. It's always fork tongue, right? Matter of fact, let's grab that precept. I believe that may actually be second address, the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, I think that's second address. Yeah, second address. Actually, so maybe it's right. You will undermine me. One second. It's at the end of the chapter. Yeah, this is Sirach Ecclesiasticus 12, and I'm gonna jump down to like the second to last verse. Yeah, right here. I'll start at 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. Right? And that's exactly what's happening. Here it is. One second, let me grab this article again. Right? Trump is saying, oh, Tehran would love to make a deal, but insisted they are not ready to make the right deal, in my opinion. Right? And the legislation that they're sending over there, if they're sending it at all, is all in favor of Babylon being strengthened, man. Basically, bow down unto what we're telling you to do. Give us back the passage, or let us roll back through that passage of the Strait of Hormuz, to do business, and let's let bygones be bygones. And if Iran was to accept that, guess what? In the middle of them accepting it, the U.S. will bomb them. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men." It's like, oops, back here. Sirach 12, 16. For an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, right? Though he's pretending to help, saying, hey, we need to come to this agreement. The scripture says what? Yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance, right? All to trick you. So when we go back here, it says, speaking before boarding Air Force One, the president painted a picture of a regime under severe strain. They have no money. They have no money. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force, right? Meanwhile, y'all can get the edge against them, right? Hey, Trump is just saying whatever he wants to appease, the right people in this country. It's still people on the right, the conservative, right, the Republican side, who really believe this nigga Trump is handling business and doing what's right. It says they have no money, they have no Navy, they have no Air Force. They're not paying their soldiers. Meanwhile, the USS Lincoln got soldiers committing suicide. So look at what the hypocrite is saying. They're not paying their police. They have 350% inflation. But wait when that inflation hits the US, because it's going to happen. So we're just going to see what happens, right? Right? Basically saying, hey, we just gotta let time, do its thing, because we don't got the power to defeat them. Says he added that American forces now hold total control of the entire region, having to do with the Strait of Hormuz, extending influence well into surrounding land areas. And that's just straight up BS, man. That's a straight up lie. Just the comments came as The Trump administration shifts emphasis toward what officials describe as now economic warfare of unprecedented scale, right? Because the physical warfare, hey, it didn't do anything to them. They didn't flinch. Actually, they started punching the U.S. harder. Says J.D. Vance stated that the economic pressures represents the most effective tool that we have against Iran, right? Because their actual weaponry isn't working. So it's saying, hey, the only way we can win this is to economically collapse them, right? We've tried to use all of our drones. We've tried to use the missiles without going nuclear. Hey, we spoke about ground troops. None of that shit has worked for us. We just need to starve them out economically. That's all we have, right? Because America would have never said 20 years ago that the most effective tool they have against a nation, is just the economic pressure, right? They would have easily said, hey, man, hey, we got the nukes, man. We got the nukes. We've been whooping countries' ass for however long. We got the nukes. That's the most effective tool we have. But the scripture tells us this in the book of Joel. It's Joel 3 and 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, let the weak say, I am strong. And ultimately, the Lord is allowing Iran to be strengthened by allies. So let's get into that, man. Right? I just went on chat and basically asked how North Korea, China, and Russia have aided within Iran's arm to fight against the U.S. and Israel. Right? So here it goes. Lord will this computer not be slow. One second. All right. So share tab. It says Russia is arguably Iran's most important military partner. Right? And the scripture tells us in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, that Magog and Gog, they are going to be what? Matter of fact, we can get it. It says they're going to be a guard unto thee, man, right? Unto these smaller nations. Also, when we go into the book of Second Edges, the 15th chapter, and it speaks about who? The Carmanians, right? Which those Carmanians are the Iranians, man. Matter of fact, let's grab that really quick. There's Second Edges 15 and 29. It says, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, right? And those are those Ishmaelite countries, Oman, Kuwait, UAE, which is United Arab Emirates. You got Saudi Arabia. You got feel like I'm missing a few. Right. I said UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait. Those nations over there, man. Those are ultimately, just a few of the dragons of Arabia. It's more nations. You can just look it up. But what's happening is these dragons of Arabia, being that the U.S. has bases within all of those Ishmaelite countries that just named off, ultimately Iran has used for its leverage militarily and its global position, proximity next to those nations to do what? To wipe out the American embassies in those places, man. Right? Basically showing America that hey, you're not about to be scattered all across the world and have power, all across these different nations like you do in your mainland. Right? It says, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Right? Because these same nations are ultimately cousins to the Iranians, man. Right? It says, and also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. Right? And when you take a look at the nature of a boar, it's typically preyed upon, by bigger predators, such as the lions, the jaguars, the hyenas. But wild boars fight into the end, man. Right? And they have no problem in chasing a lion, a full-grown male or female lion. They have no problem fighting off hyenas. They get down, man. And the scriptures tell you that Ishmael is a wild man. It says, and with great power shall they come, right? And that power, they're getting assistance from other nuclear powers, man. It says, and join battle with them and shall waste a portion of the land of Assyrians. And Esau is that modern day Assyrian. So when we go here, right, Russia offers military and strategic support. Russia is arguably Iran's most important military partner. Weapons and military tech. Russia and Iran have expanded defense cooperation, including aircraft, air defense, missiles, drones, and other military technologies. It says air defense capabilities. Russia has also supplied Iran with advanced air defense equipment in the past, and cooperation in this area remains strategically important because protecting Iranian nuclear, missile, and military facilities is a major Iranian concern. It says they supplied them with fighter aircrafts, the Su-35s, drones. Iran has supplied Russia with Shahed family drones, creating a significant two-way military relationship. Also, the satellite and space capabilities, right? And if you know and been tuned in, to these various, outside news sources, so to speak, there's talks that Russia gave certain coordinates to Iran to wipe out certain individuals. It says Russia has helped Iran place satellites into orbit, giving Iran improved Earth observation capabilities with potential military applications. Nuclear cooperation, which is one of my favorite topics, man. Getting into the science of the nukes, right? It says Russia has been Iran's principal foreign partner at the Bushehr nuclear facility. Moscow strongly criticizes Israeli and U.S. military actions against Iran and provides Iran with political support internationally. So Russia's role in this war as backing Iran are weapons, military tech, space intelligence capabilities, nuclear cooperation, and diplomatic backing. Now let's look at how China has aided the Iranians, man. Right? And these are all ways in which the scripture tells us this. Isaiah 13:4 says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise. The kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, mustereth the host of the battle. Right? So ultimately, the Lord has these different chess pieces set into place so that prophecy can unfold, man. Right? He's doing this on the behalf of his elect, right? To usher in this new world order, because he is gonna crash this whole, man. Right? It says China, economic lifeline and strategic partner. China's assistance is less about openly supplying weapons and more about ensuring Iran can continue functioning economically despite U.S. sanctions. And that's why I hear, going back into this article, that the Trump and Vance basically saying that I'll read it again, stated Thursday that economic pressure represents the most effective tool that we have against Iran. But you see the role that China is playing, right? China is number one when it comes to exports to other countries, man, especially the US, right? So China is helping Iran financially in this war. So the hit that America is hoping that affects Iran the most, hey, China is right there to pick up some of the slack, man. Right? Not saying that the Iranians ain't gonna feel it economically at all, because I'm sure they will. Much like the US is gonna feel it economically. Trump just told the whole American people, hey, if gas goes up another $1 to $2, just deal with it. He basically said, hey, gas is about to go up, niggas. There's nothing you can do about it. We in war. I'm taking the price of gas up. Right? So Americans, you Babylonians are gonna feel it too. Now let's get back to it. It says oil is arguably China's most important contribution. China is the primary destination for Iranian crude exports. Those oil revenues give Tehran money to purchase military equipment, missile components, electronics, industrial equipment, food and fuel, and other strategic imports. This means Chinese purchases of Iranian oil can indirectly sustain Iran's military capacity, right? And we're seeing that not only are these electronics and military equipment being, purchased or helped, helping the Iranians by China, but North Korea has their hand in that as well. And we're gonna get to that. It says Iran has developed extensive networks involving Chinese companies, intermediaries, shipping companies, and financial channels to maintain trade despite U.S. sanctions. China has also provided industrial machinery, electronics, chemicals, manufacturing equipment, and dual-use components. So more than likely, I believe Iran already has a nuke. I believe they do, especially with these superpowers that they've been working with or these superpowers that have been siding with them to fight against the U.S. Yeah, I really believe that they already have a nuke, man. You know, now whether they're going to just say it, as understanding how military war strategy goes, you never let your enemy know what you're working with. Not to your full extent, right? So they ain't just gonna just say it. Hey, but Russia has them, North Korea has them, China has them. Hey, it's in the best interest of those three countries to make sure that the little man you got out there fighting has won at the minimum. Right? It says China and Iran have conducted joint naval exercises and have long-standing defense cooperation. China has historically contributed to Iran's development of anti-ship missiles, ballistic missile technology, naval systems, air defense tech, drones, and military electronics. However, China has not openly entered a war against Israel or the U.S. on Iran's behalf, right? But they behind them, helping them push, right? It says North Korea is particularly, oh, it's not. North Korea is particularly important because of its long history of cooperation with Iran on ballistic missiles. There it is. It says this relationship goes back decades. Iran's missile program has historically benefited from North Korean technology and expertise. North Korea has been associated with assistance involving technologies related to Scud-derived missiles, medium-range ballistic missiles. So hypersonics are included within this list. Missile engines, guidance systems, missile production infrastructure, and missile components. All about war, man. Just like we read in the book of Joel, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And they're able to do this because they have strong nations backing them, right? So when we take a look back here, Jeremiah 50 and 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Hey, well, when everyone is fighting against the bully, it makes the fight a little easier, right? So we're seeing, the Iran hold their own against this bully, man, right? It says one of the most important historical connections is the relationship between North Korea, Nodong Missile Tech, and Iran's Shahab 3 program. It says Shahab 3 became one of Iran's major medium-range ballistic missiles. The relationship has not necessarily consisted simply of North Korea shipping complete missiles to Iran. A major part of the relationship has historically involved technology transfer and helping Iran develop domestic production capabilities. So it's like you don't teach a man, you don't just give a man a fish. You teach him how to fish and you feed him forever. So that's the place that Iran, or it's like North Korea has, for Iran. But if they're sending forth scientists over there, the scientists ain't just going to allow them to fail, right? You don't just send help to not help to its full extent, right? If Iran can manufacture missiles domestically, which, hey, they're doing that with drones, right? It becomes much harder for an opponent to stop its missile supply simply by intercepting shipments, right? So we see all these nations gearing up and helping Iran militarily, economically, strategically, industrially, technically, right? They're all helping in this fight. So when you see, the US, do everything in its power, really, because right, NATO, and let's read this. It says there is no publicly established three-country military alliance comparable to NATO in which Russia, China, and North Korea have committed to fight on Iran's behalf, right? But the thing is, an alliance like NATO sees that a lot of the help militarily that America has given has only been into the small hats, right? So the fact that they see that America really isn't down to help anyone else unless it's on behalf of the rats, that's stirring up that spirit of hatred, man, right? Which is all gearing towards that evil thought. Matter of fact, let's go to this precept here in the book of Isaiah 47, right? Because this is, as you see, what prediction of Babylon's fall. Let's read in NLT. It says, Isaiah 47 at the top, come down, virgin daughter of Babylon, and sit in the dust. for your days of sitting on a throne have ended, O daughter of Babylonia. Never again will you be the lovely princess, tender and delicate. Take heavy millstones and grind flour. Remove your veil and strip off your robe. Expose yourself to public view. You will be naked and burdened with shame. I will take vengeance against you without pity. Our Redeemer, whose name is the Lord of heaven's army, is the Holy One of Israel. O beautiful Babylon, sit now in darkness and silence. Never again will you be known as the Queen of Kingdoms. For I was angry with my chosen people and punished them by letting them fall into your hands. But you, Babylon, showed them no mercy. You oppressed even the elderly. You said, I will reign forever as queen of the world. You did not reflect on your actions or think about their consequences. Listen to this, you pleasure-loving kingdom, living at ease and feeling secure. You say, I am the only one and there is no other. I will never be a widow or lose my children. Well, both these things will come upon you in a moment, widowhood and the loss of children. Yes, these calamities will come upon you despite all your witchcraft and magic, right? Because this is the mother of sorceries, man. It says, you felt secure in your wickedness. No one sees me, you said, but your wisdom and knowledge have led you astray, right? So the elites, top banking families, right? Their wisdom and knowledge have led them astray to the point where they really believe they're going to enact and fully set forth their new world order. But the scriptures, Yahweh Shemashah says different, right? And you said, I am the only one, there is no other. So this is what the Lord is going to do. So disaster will overtake you, right? So us seeing them fight this hard against Iran is just the beginning, right? This is just the Lord just showing that, hey, I can use a smaller nation, to basically throw hands with you, right? So disaster will overtake you and you won't be able to charm it away, much like Pharaoh, right? Calamity will fall upon you and you won't be able to buy your way out. A catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. Now use your magical charms. Use the spells you have worked at all these years. Maybe they will do you some good. Maybe they can make someone afraid of you. All the advice you receive has made you tired. Where are all your astrologers? Those stargazers who make predictions each month. Let them stand up and save you from what the future holds, right? But that's the point. It won't, man. I gotta read this. 14. But they are like straw burning in fire. They cannot save themselves from the flame, right? Because a witch was to be put to death by being burned, right? And the judgment unto Babylon is what? That same fire. It says you will get no help from them at all. Their hearth is no place to sit for warmth. All your friends, or your friends, those with whom you've done business since childhood, will go their own ways, turning a deaf ear to your cries. So all the allies of this place, they're ultimately going to turn on her. And that's why the scriptures say, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her and spare no arrows, because that's going to be the fate of Babylon the Great, man. Everybody who has the bow, hey, and them arrows that go with it, hey, they're going to utterly burn her with fire, that saith the scriptures. So hey, it shows you that leverage that hammer had, the power that hammer had, it ain't swinging like it used to, man. Right? The Lord is slowly taking and stripping the power away from Eve, man. Right? By a basically prophecy's sake, by allowing these nations to actually fight back and create pacts to fight against this whole. So that was the point. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying into the body. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim HaKadash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of James Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakin, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.